started, so,
Huh?
school started, so,
I know.
Can't be great and big, do
no, but it's going to starting school. Hers are younger, I know she's around a lot.
Usually, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's why I sent everybody the original.
That's what I'm saying.
Reports and stuff, right?
Mhm.
Give them an idea of the original area ahead of them.
How'd it go?
Yeah.
Now, do you have some songs, was that last year, or did they all?
I did some,
You did.
Nice, yeah, because I do 6, 7, and 8, so sometimes I have them for 2 years, sometimes
Yeah,
they're
so that's
not.
funny, earlier.
There's 2 of us doing it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So like, well, you have so-and-so, you have so-and-so.
Okay. Looks like our fourth member is not here yet, but we have a quorum, so we can proceed. All right, I would like to call this meeting of the Webster Village Planning Board meeting to order, Thursday, September 5th. If you could give the board a few minutes to review our meeting minutes from last month, and then we'll get those approved or amended as necessary, get those into the record, and then we can move on with tonight's agenda. So.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. Okay, any questions, changes?
I'd like
amendments?
to move that we approve the minutes from August 1st, 2019, as written.
Second that?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, meeting minutes are approved from last month. Okay. All right, tonight we have in front of us 3 actions for the board. So I will call you up in the order as presented on the agenda. We have the first scheduled issue, Gregory McMahon, LaRue Associates, representing Webster Columbus Center. They have submitted an application for preliminary and final site plan approval. Applicant requests change in original site plan approval by proposing to add additional parking to the north and west of the existing building, relocate dumpster, all according pursuant to village zoning sections and requirements as stated. So Greg, if you want to give a little.
Good evening, I'm Dave Ertz. I'm a past Grand Knight of the Knights of Columbus, and I currently manage the Webster Columbus Center. People like Jude tell me we don't say enough about our organization, so people know what we do. So I've got an opportunity, I'm not going to be long. But basically, the Webster Columbus Center is the home of Trinity Council Knights of Columbus, which is a fraternal charitable organization. Our whole goal is to raise money to give it away, and that's what we've done for 40 years in this community. Last year we gave away, we generated and gave out over $30,000 to local organizations. In addition, organizations like the Kiwanis and Lions and Rotary, all those organizations make use of our facility for their fundraising. So I just wanted to get that in and basically tell what our story is. So for 40 years we've owned this property, and we, in all honesty, we do rent the facility out to help pay the bills. And our clients' size varies from groups of 20 up to about 150. So over those 40 years, we've managed our parking situation through a mutual parking agreement, a past mutual parking agreement with the neighbor to the south of 60 Barrett Drive. Unfortunately, last year, he legally withdrew from that agreement, kind of leaving us in a bind, because there are times we do need additional parking. He had the legal right to do that. So we have to, this is why we're here tonight, is to go back and look at what we had originally proposed 30, 40 years ago. Will had looked at those for us. There was parking around the building, and we need to revisit that, and we'd like to get approval to let us add that parking. So that's just a little background of why we're here and why we're doing this. We feel we're a good asset to the community. We'd like to stay around for a while, but this is a huge investment for our organization, so we're just trying to do everything right, get it done.
Now, just to add to that 33 years ago, we had our wedding reception there, 200 people, and we're still happily married. My wife's not here to confirm that, but
I'll talk to her.
Dating yourself.
So that's what we're all about. Again, like I said, we draw from the 4 Catholic churches in the Webster area. The reason we have that building is so we can pull from all sections of the town.
Well, the Webster High School Alumni Banquet is there every year too, so.
Right, we do a big fundraiser for the Rochester deaf community. Over 200 people, they raised close to $10,000 for their summer camp program. You know. So did I say enough?
That was good.
Okay, now we'll let the engineers do his work. Thank you.
Okay, Greg McMahon from McMahon LaRue Associates. I'll just talk for a minute or two about the plan that we submitted. There currently are 59 parking spaces on the property, and this plan expands that to 89 parking spaces. So we're increasing by 30 spaces. We're relocating the dumpster and putting an enclosure around that. It's fairly straightforward. We're not disturbing any, it's all lawn now. We're not disturbing any trees. All the trees are going to remain. The tree line along Cross Point Lane, the brush, well, it's on the other property. The trees to the west are on the adjoining property, so we won't be doing anything with that. Will had sent us, we had received a couple comments. One had to do with our proposed pavement section. We initially had proposed 9 inches of stone under the pavement base, and that was before the relocation of the dumpster, and we agree that we've upped that pavement base to 12 inches, withstand mainly the garbage trucks that'll come around and handle the dumpster. And the other question Will had was, how are we draining this? And we're sheet draining the parking lot. We've created a high point on the north side of the building. We're sheeting a portion of the new parking over to the existing catch basin in the existing parking lot. And then we're sheeting around to the west and then to the south and to an existing catch basin that's along the west property line. So by sheet draining the parking lot, we basically split it and taking some to the west and some to the east. And I think that there's no addition. Well, we've shown a couple wall packs on the building, and I've shown the lighting contours on the wall packs. There's no pole lighting proposed for this parking lot. Both of these wall packs, we've shown the foot candles, and we're at a half a foot candle and still well within the property limits here. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I did notice on the site plan, there's no utilities listed, so I could see from the contours that you were going for sheet drainage arrangement, just pushing water off into the remaining green spaces. You
Yeah.
are obviously sacrificing the lion's share of your remaining green spaces simply because you have the land.
Yeah, we have no choice.
Right, you have no choice.
We've
I-
tried, yep.
And in fact, I did a drive-by just right before I got here, and tonight is one of those nights where we seem to be pretty well loaded up.
Our members are discussing how we're going to pay for this.
Fortunately, paying for it is not our issue. but-
Absolutely.
but
And when I drove by recently, what is that trailer with the steps leading up to it in the back left?
That's been there for many years. It's just a storage trailer for extra chairs and things.
For your storage.
It's our storage, yes. Yeah.
It had waste management on the trailer.
No, that's because Waste Management used to have a dumpster. The dumpster used to sit next to it. For some reason, they put a sticker on our trailer. No, that's,
So that's storage for you.
so the dumpster is gonna be back on our, currently the dumpster is temporarily located on the front because our neighbor has basically said he's gonna put a fence up at any time up the property line. So we basically ceased and desist anybody crossing his property. So we will be putting the dumpster behind the building again.
Pretty self-contained request. I wish I had something to complain about.
Okay, I have no issues or qualms. Anything else? Discussion from the board? Okay, at this point, I open it up for any public comment. I haven't received anything by email, I haven't, Will, I don't know if you've had any negative feedback from anybody, I can't see.
3 of our 4 neighbors have been, including Greg's clients across the street, have been excessively helpful getting us through this time. So I wouldn't have expected anything from 3 of them.
Right. Well, I did see, I mean, I thank you for the historical, I mean, obviously, this was planned out a long, long time ago, and now I understand that sometimes, these projects take time to, or the need comes up in the future, so the future is now. I mean, it's a good, bad problem to have. I mean, it's unfortunate your neighbor doesn't agree to let you overflow into his lot, but such is the way it is in life. So, any other comment? Nothing else from the public? Okay, public comment section is over. Back to the board. Anybody have any last minute thoughts?
Nothing further.
Details for the surround are included, the pavement section's resolved. Will, all good with drainage?
Yep. That's why I asked the questions well in advance.
Okay, so at this point, then the issue before the board is a positive recommendation for site plan approval, so you guys can proceed with your plan.
The first thing you need to do is take care of seeker.
Sorry, Don?
Seeker?
Seeker.
Seeker?
Seeker.
Yes, this type 2.
I think it's an unlisted action, actually.
I did a quick read-through of the environmental assessment form. I didn't see any issues. Seriously, the only issue that
I think it's an unlisted action, so you need to go through the short form EAF that they had provided, and go through that and make an assessment as to whether or not there are any adverse environmental impacts noted or not. And then your choice is either to then make a negative declaration that there are no significant environmental impacts, or a positive declaration, and then they gotta go through and prepare and file an environmental impact statement.
But it does sound like they've already discussed the issues with Will, and I mean, all right, we'll go through the environmental short form real quick, make sure that nothing pops out here.
Most of the only one they checked a yes on, I think, was drainage.
Right.
And I guess that's been addressed. So everything else, the impacts were set forth as a no.
Right, all the yes answers are how pretty much self-explanatory with regard to drainage, zoning, comprehensive plan, we have all that addressed.
Number 17 on page 3.
Right, so they're not dumping water on adjacent property, but they have addressed
Yeah, so that could be the only environmental impact is drainage, and if they've adequately provided for drainage, then you'd note that.
right. Okay, so,
And the motion would be
Motion
for
for
a
negative
negative
recommendation.
declaration that there are no significant adverse environmental impacts associated with this project.
okay,
And that sounds like a good motion, I'll make that motion.
duly noted, well stated. Motion is, and I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And then the issue is, the planning board is site plan approval. Motion, positive or recommendation for site plan approval, as drawn.
Correct. It's not a recommendation because you're making the decision. So
Right.
it's either
Right, we are making, we
you
are
grant the
making,
approval or you don't.
so,
Okay, I'll make the motion for final site plan approval for the Webster Columbus Center.
as drawn, as shown.
Correct.
Okay, no changes, no contingency,
No.
no,
Guess in secret we adjust the drainage, so
Right.
we're good.
okay,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Aye,
Aye.
okay, motion is unanimous, gentlemen,
Thank you.
good to go.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, item number 2 on the agenda. Mr. Greg Chambry, owner of 14 East Main Street, is submitting an application for a special use permit to add a second floor or to change the use of 14 West Main to second floor to be a apartment unit, currently now is office space. So give us a little blurb, I've read it through, but in your own words,
Okay.
sir.
I tried to bring my son tonight to see how government worked, but he was more interested in the Green Bay Packers than. I gotta go.
And so it goes.
With that opener.
Gotta be out of here in 15 minutes.
Thanks for having me tonight. Yeah, I'm a member of Prestige Services, which owns 14 East Main Street. Owned the building for probably 11 years. Just historically, Dr. Gallo, the dentist in the 70s, built the building and then sold it to Dr. Enterline, who had a dental practice. So it was built as a dental practice on the second floor with additional office space below. And Barry Enterline, when I bought it from him, was running into the same trouble that I've had really along the way, and that's the split level of the construction of the building with the stairs as time has gone on. You know, it used to be that dental offices were houses converted to dental offices, so that was very common in the 70s, along with other, you know, kind of things, and handicapped access wasn't as prominent, you know, kind of as it is today. So like the dental folks, I've run into that along the way where there's been resistance, and anybody who's gone up and down Main Street can see that the leasing signs have been there for a while, and that's what you run into on the commercial side, and I'm sure you folks have seen that. So, you know, that's the main driver to say it's not viable the way it was in the 70s. And so that's why I'm here today. We've had some, my architect has had some extensive conversation with Will with regard to the fire codes, and we went through that whole business and the appropriateness of the building holds in terms of complying with the fire codes, and I think Will can back that up, that we've had those conversations. So, you know, the east end of Main Street is starting to take off a little bit, and we think that this use is appropriate for that building with what's going on there. The residential side, I see in the kind of comprehensive plan of the village that pleasant residential environment within a growing community is kind of the motto that the village is looking for. So I think that kind of complies with this as well. As far as the neighbors go, John Bucci next door runs out of one of the spaces below. He does instrument repair and storage of his inventory down there, so he occupies one of those spaces below, and a financial planner occupies the other space, so that the bottom part is occupied. The parking is certainly adequate. I bought the rest of the parking a number of years ago from Tommy Smith with Smith Insurance, so there's more than ample parking. In fact, John Bucci and his customers, with people coming in to rent music equipment, I allow him to use the parking for lessons and that kind of thing there, because we don't actually need as much as we have. In terms of the outside of the building, nothing is going to change whatsoever. The only slight additions is we're going to put a video monitoring system in, so somebody in the upstairs apartment can buzz in the pizza guy or whoever, you know, happens to come to the door. So that is kind of taken care of. And that's really about it. As far as refuse, it would be one tote, I think residential, you know, type use, and it would be right next to John's totes that are already, you know, behind the building. We've gone through the village code, and that's within your packet, so we tried to be as thorough as we could in answering any, you know, potential roadblocks that might come from this. So I think we've got all our bases covered, and if there's any questions, I'd certainly be willing to entertain, you know, those questions at this point.
That was a nice presentation.
Good meeting.
You answered all those questions. That was a good job.
Thank you.
It's always nice when you don't make us work too hard.
It's nice for me too.
So the downstairs is currently used,
Yes,
and they're, no issue with
no, they're
anything
fine.
upstairs. And probably the residential doesn't conflict very much with the commercial because the hours are,
Exactly,
for the most part, opposite.
right.
So, and then the front and back doors, they are commercial entrances, but you're gonna fit those with some kind of,
Yeah, those will each, in addition to the upstairs for the apartment, each commercial space will have video so that they can see if they happen to want to lock themselves in because they're the only one in the building or something and security is an issue. They can buzz anybody in as well.
so then does that mean the outside doors are normally closed, locked?
During the day, during regular hours, they're open 9 to 5, you know,
Right.
or if they're there later interviewing clients or that kind of thing in the front, not in the music area, but, you know, they keep them open and they lock it at night, so.
Right. Well, just a quick question, is there any implication with fire access? If
Oh,
the
I
doors
think
are
that-
normally locked? Or if the doors are locked after
Well,
hours?
only all the doors should be able to be opened from the inside.
Yeah.
Outside, you don't have to worry about, you don't run into a building that's burning, you run out of it. So you gotta worry about it, you know, being open, and I believe they have the hardware. They'll have paddles, yeah.
And I know the fire department, they love to smash stuff when they have.
Yeah. I don't know, do you have a Knox box for that building? No. Just in case, you know, if you want the fire department to be able to have access without breaking into it, they have those little Knox boxes. Yeah. Which you have on the Maplewood, don't you? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just thought for the future. Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Questions?
I agree with Kathy, it was a nice presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
No issue, no other discussion on the board. Any public comment? No violent disagreement. You have received any negative feedback?
No, and one thing I will add, and I didn't hear your whole presentation, but, sorry, it does coincide with our comprehensive plan, where in the area we do want to see residents above the retail or whatever commercial business is below. Just add that.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it and I saw the size of the apartment, I'm like,
That's a nice.
bigger than the first
that's a
apartment
nice
I had
Very
then.
Yes.
Okay, Rick?
Really, comment from resident is that it was a shame it was built as a split level. That somewhere back years ago, I think a board screwed up.
Well,
Negative.
right, and then
Long time
obviously
ago.
with the advent of all the changes
Yes.
with the ADA requirements as they strengthen over time, it becomes more and more difficult. for
Well, it doesn't match
businesses to
the,
comply.
the biggest problem, it doesn't match the Village of Webster.
Right. But, say about
There's a few things that
existing,
don't
existing
match.
structure.
Not
Not much we can do about that now.
But
Okay.
that water over the dam.
Water under the bridge. Okay, all right, no more public comment, left the board. Okay, so unless there are any other last minute thoughts, then the issue before us is a positive or negative recommendation to the zoning board for special use permit. And there are no environmental impacts, so there's therefore no seeker requirement.
We'll let
Well, that'd
the-
be
we'll let
zoning
the
board, so-
ZBA will take care of that, because
Right.
it's type 2 action. They'll take the necessary resolution,
Right.
since they're the permitting agency.
Okay, so, would anyone care, besides myself, to make a motion for a positive recommendation
Positive recommendation
to the zoning board
to the ZBA
for a special use permit?
for a special use permit for the second,
Change of use,
for the second.
commercial use, residential.
Mhm.
Okay,
Sounds good, I'll second.
all in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Motion is carried unanimous.
Thanks for your help.
Very well.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
You are a good steward of your properties,
You're right.
please continue to do
You
so.
try.
Thanks, Peggy.
Okay, that brings us to the third item on the agenda. We have Bill and Mary Beth Bischers, owners living at 58 Kirchner Park. They have experiencing the issue that we all have, you got too much stuff. You need more space. It's uncontested that the 100 square foot limit is a little constricting, and you are asking for a recommendation to allow a 160 square foot shed to be placed on your property. So
Okay,
give us a little blurby, if you don't mind.
I don't know what to say.
I know, it's pretty self-explanatory, but you gotta do it.
Okay, so we actually need to repair our garage, and we have to empty it first, and we don't have anywhere to put it. And then after we get to that point, it'll be nice to have a garden shed, and we're getting older, and we might need a riding lawnmower someday. And we have to put the snow blowers and the cultivator and all the stuff someplace. Garden tools and bicycles.
So obviously, with everything that you're expressing, you intend to stay in the Village of Webster,
Yeah,
which is always good.
we like it.
Yeah.
We've been here 32 years. Well, I grew up in Webster, but we've been in this house 32 years.
Okay.
And I teach at Sprout. It's a nice commute.
Okay.
So
Now-
we've, over the years, have made a lot of improvements to the property. If you go by the property, I think it's one of the better kept up places. Last year, we put on a metal roof. We put a 2-story addition when we decided that 1 bathroom was not enough. When the 3rd child was on the way, so the garage that we have that Mary Beth mentioned was originally a carriage house that they kind of added onto, and if you look at it, it kind of sits askew, and we've put what the neighbor kids call death chains to hold the sidewalls in and stuff. So it's time to replace that garage, but we need
But
to,
that's another.
that'll be in the future, but that is,
Our
I
start,
mean,
getting started.
Nothing we haven't all experienced. I've been in the village over 30 years now, so I'm well familiar with the old carriage houses and what they were and what they become, and they were never built to last.
And just so you know, for future reference, when you do go to demolish that, you have to come to planning for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
yes,
historical commission has to say whether or not it has any historical value.
So we'll want to bring pictures. Okay, but we picked out a really cute little, it's the barn roof shed. It'll match the house with the white siding and
Is that what's in your hand?
yeah.
Because normally what we would ask is to see if this is a constructed or a purchased,
I've already given them
and
down.
show us what it looks like.
I can try. I don't have it exact, but it's, let me see, I have a page that I tore out. It's the most like,
Generally, what we would be
Here we
most sensitive to is, it's not a pole barnish, out of character structure that would really upset your neighbors.
oh, and we went around and we visited.
I saw that too, you did your due
2 and 2 and
diligence.
5, and, yeah, so it's this design with white siding and a green shingled roof, and then the windows and the door look like this, only with a single door
Mhm.
with somewhere you can drive a riding lawnmower in, with a window on the other side to start plants.
So jealous, jealous.
But yeah, it's the sturdy building, they're at the corner of Plank, and
Mhm.
they're really nice structures.
Did you get the
Yep.
air conditioned or not?
Yeah, no, we are
Don't give her
planning-
So no
No utilities.
No utilities to it, just,
No,
and I did see in your presentation
get
that
the
you're
husband
gonna
on-
maintain the
is on the
10-foot
outcrop.
setbacks
oh yes,
off the
Make-
rear
make-
This is gonna be the
property
she
line.
shed, so this is.
Right,
maybe even a little more than
Okay.
like 12 or 14.
and I did the math, your lot coverage is way, way under, your lot is, I mean,
It's nice.
14,000 square feet,
Oh, my.
It's very
It's
cute.
for their office.
so.
It'll make the backyard even prettier.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, issues?
No question.
All right. Any public comment?
Sounds good.
Okay. I mean, they obviously, they did their due diligence, they provided, they talked to their neighbors, who they obviously get along with, everybody seems to be in agreement, no issues, no problems, nobody yelling and screaming, absolutely not, so, we understand, we accumulate things over time, and sometimes 100 square feet just doesn't cut. So, would anyone care to make a positive recommendation to the zoning board for a
Area variance.
variance, 60 square foot variance for an accessory structure?
I'll make that motion for a positive recommendation for a 60 square foot variance for the new shed.
And I will second that motion. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried and unanimous.
Okay.
I would just add one more thing to that, and we keep going back and forth on this, but I know the zoning board has been talking to us about possibly changing our code to say, because we've had so many variances come for, sheds, 120 square feet, 140 square foot, and then our code, in a sense, is kind of archaic. I mean, even the state code says we don't even have to require a permit for a shed that's 144 square foot or under. So, but we have more stricter standards than the state does, and that.
So that change in the law, or the village code, where would it emanate from?
Well, usually what the board asks is, they'll ask either the zoning or planning or both to get together to discuss it and then give a proposal to the village board, and because it's a local law, the village board has to either approve it or approve it with
Yeah.
conditions or change it or whatever it may be, and then it goes to the state.
Not difficult.
Okay. Judy, you got homework to do.
I always have homework to do.
Okay, so that in fact concludes, you have a positive recommendation to the zoning board, so you just have to do your one more presentation to them.
Yep.
So that concludes the items in front of the board for this evening for consideration. I did see that Joe did provide the training. I believe you guys are up to date. I'm the only one who is remiss, so I will actually
Mr. Chairman,
All right, okay. Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Joe, meeting closed officially at 8:30. 8:37? 7:37.
I'm gonna get home to watch that football game or whatever.
I totally respected you, Joe.
I didn't do that on purpose.
Uh-huh.
Good.